Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Why People Do What They Do, where we speak to talented and accomplished individuals from various fields. Today, we have Soonufat Supramaniam with us, or more fondly known as Sir Soon by his students. Sir Soon was a teacher at SMK Lubok Buntar in Kedah and now owns and runs his own education center called Leadspire Academy. Sir Soon, thank you so much for joining us on our show this Sunday morning.
Thank you for inviting me. Happy Teachers Day.
Yes, happy Teachers Day to you and happy Teachers Day to all teachers and educators in Malaysia. Myself as well as all Malaysians are truly grateful for the work that you and teachers in Malaysia are striving towards for the growth of future Malaysians. So thank you very much. How have you been and how is your weekend? How's your Teachers Day weekend? How is it like in Perak during this MCO period?
It's lovely. I think during this time, it's hard to go out. I would love to go out and meet my students and teach my students in person. But unfortunately, we just have to deal with what the current situation is. I have a lot of classes on Saturday, as well as later after this interview. I love to still remain connected with my students virtually. And this opportunity, this whole period allow me to do that, which is great.
That's great to hear. Soon, tell us how you got started in the education space. What made you want to venture into this space? Our conversation before that, I was really intrigued by how you said that teaching wasn't actually your first option.
Yeah, so it started about the time, I think I have to share from after I finished my high school. So after finishing high school, I went to Australian National University to study commerce. And thinking venturing into the commerce field, I would get a lot of money, get me a full-time job. And along the way, I realized it's important. And also, I cannot see myself doing accountancy full-time. I cannot imagine myself when I was studying and working part-time as an accountant in my university time.
So you majored in accounting?
Yes, accounting.
Okay.
Accounting and business information system while studying arts at the same time. So I do have that exposure to arts during my university time. And I feel that there's something calling, there's something that I want to venture into arts, in particular to acting and performance, because it helped me to discover so much confidence and thinking about the world not in black and white, allow me to question more about the world that we live in. So after my commerce degree, I ventured and I worked and I studied in a theatre company in Brisbane, Australia for a while, and I teach performing arts in Australia for a while. And I totally fell in love with what arts can offer. So after that journey in Australia, I signed up for Teach for Malaysia program, where it recruits graduates and professionals or people who want to contribute towards education in Malaysia for 2 years. So I was in Teach for Malaysia. I signed up for Teach for Malaysia about 5 to 6 years ago with a bunch of really passionate and driven individuals want to bring change and to use our own skills and experts help our students to achieve the idea of excellence. So since then, I fell in love with teaching in Teach for Malaysia schools. And now I also run my own education center, which focus still on performing arts, language development, and helping students to grow and meet their high potential.
Well, did you have any expectation when you came back from Australia and you had the ambition to want to teach performing arts and to instill that trait and potential in students in Malaysia? Did you have any expectation when you joined the Teach for Malaysia program?
I think definitely. I definitely walk in with a very strict, very strong interest in using what I have learned before to help my students, in particular English language development. But it has changed since then because working in rural area. So I was sent to a school called SMK Lubok Buntar. It's about, I think the closest city is about 20 minutes drive away. Um, so definitely using performing arts is something I'm very, very interested in, but also seeing what I can help the students, what the students need at that time, and how I can merge my interests with the community needs.
I actually got to know of you last year when you were nominated for and subsequently won. You were one of the winners of the Anugerah Guru Inspirasi McDonald's 2019. This award by McDonald's Malaysia is to basically give recognition and to honor teachers that go beyond the call of duty in educating and nurturing their students. What stood out for me in your story was that you use performing arts, right? And you said in the video, you know, find your light. And I think that was one of the, that was actually the performance that you, together with your students, put forth in Penang. Can you walk us through that whole process, how you got your students in a rural area to participate? What was the process like? Was it easy to get them to understand what performing arts can do for them?
Oh, it's like repeating my journey for the past few years, all summarized in just a few minutes. But I love it. I love it. I love that you asked this question. I think teachers in all around Malaysia are trying their best to help the students. And for me, it is no exception. And I just want to say, highlighting this story doesn't mean I'm the only way. Performing arts is the only way to say that it's the best way of education. But I want to highlight this as my successful case study. So a few years ago, I was working in a school, SMK Lubok Buntar, and there's a lot of challenging students. By challenging, I mean, I still remember times where I walked into the classroom, and then when I was asking students how Teacher Soon can help you today, and we can see students are not that interested. It's hard to get them motivated. So I try a lot of speech and drama games with the students.
And these students, how old are they?
They are from 13 years old to 17 years old.
So that range, okay.
Yes, teenage range. So this age group of students, I find speech and drama as a very helpful strategy to get them motivated, to get them learn. So I find that a good entry point. So I want to go deeper. So 2 years ago, I was lucky enough to be invited to India and to participate in a project in learning about how using a project called Find Your Light Project, a musical project to help the students to discover their confidence, to improve their academic achievement, to increase their values and mindsets, and to increase the opportunity for them. So 2 years ago, I invited students from 4 schools in Kedah to participate in a performance art project where they have to analyze the script, they have to train in actors training, and then we bring them to a professional theatre venue in Penang to ask them to perform in front of public during Georgetown Festival. So that has helped the students to improve their confidence skills exponentially. So they become so brave to communicate, they become so confident, they become more aware of the social issues that is around them. Because in this project, we also ask students to analyze about social issues that concern them and to take actions to address that social issues. So you see, performing arts education can be used also as a tool to increase students' awareness about the social issues around them. And last year we actually worked on a project on increasing students' awareness on bullying. So we helped the students analyze the bullying cases in Malaysia for the past 5 years. And students have to write personal reflections and stories and poems about their bully experience, which is really empowering for me to see students are talking about bullying in hostels, students are talking about bullying at home, students are talking about teacher bullying them, how they are bullying the teacher at the same time.
Bullying the teachers?
Yeah. Things happen in dual aspects, two aspect. So they are highlighting their personal stories. So we put that all into one performance called Singing to the Lions, which is a very successful project, and I still very much connected to a lot of the students that work in the project. And one of the students in the project called Noor Aisha binti Abdullah, she sent in a very beautiful message to McDonald's to nominate me, and I'm very grateful for her. Because of her, I've won that award, and it helped me to use that money that I've won to set up my own learning academy as well.
That's great, Soon. So that was something that really stood out for me, because I thought like, wow, that's a very interesting way. And I found myself questioning as well, what is it about performing arts? And maybe that's something that you can enlighten me on, and also our audience. Why performing arts? Why do you think these students respond so well to the effects of performing arts? Or do you think that this was something that was experimental for them? What values do you think this tool, performing arts, have instilled in these students?
So for me, performing arts, it's a form of exercise also. It takes a lot of courage to be in front of other people and telling their stories. First of all, it's not an easy task. But by putting them into different characters, also distance themselves, and then they are able to tell more honest stories about how they are being bullied, how that character itself, from a very shy and negative princess, to be able to go through different challenges and discover her own light, so she shines bright, so she can help the kingdom of light, for example. So that was the storyline 2 years ago. So by using all this, it creates that alienation effect where it helps the students to distance themselves, so they can tell a story from a different angle. And I think also regular training, regular exposure to performing art help my students to be more confident, because I always believe that creativity and confidence is like a muscle. You have to consistently practice it. You have to consistently develop that creative muscles in order to stand in public and perform your stories. And I think in a lot of aspects, we kind of overlook the importance of having regular exposure for students to tell their stories, to present their, to train in the same text for a long period of time. So when you keep on giving them regular feedback, we can really see how students grow from just 3 months, from a very, very shy boy to a very confident person who's acting as a bully on stage. And they can reflect on that experience, so that it helps them to think about, as a bully, actually that's the psychological thinking that is happening. So I have to act in a way that is fiercer, in a way that is can make people think that they should hate me. But at the same time, it needs to create some sort of empathy, so that the audience think about where they are coming from, or other students are thinking where they are coming from. That's why cause their anger. And it's hard to talk about this in regular classrooms, I think.
Do you think that builds empathy as well among the students? So while they are building empathy with the audience, they themselves are building that value of empathy within themselves as well?
Absolutely. I think one thing that we do in our rehearsal and our training sessions is we have an open sharing circle every single time before we start and every single time after we finish. That reflection, and we add in meditation activity, so students think about what they can contribute and how they have acted in the past 45 minutes or 90 minutes rehearsal session. They also will say things like, I have too much work on my I have too much work from other teachers. How am I going to commit to this rehearsal schedule? Or they can talk about, oh, I think you are not doing your best today. And because of that, it actually affects my performance on stage. So that creates a very open sharing, very human approach to how we learn, train, and practice together. And that definitely create that empathy within the students.
I love what you said earlier about how creativity is like a muscle, because that's something that our last guest, Red Hong Yi, also mentioned. She said creativity is like a muscle. The more you do, the better you get at it. So it's great that you mention it as well. Soon, tell us what you love about being a teacher, being an educator. What is it about the job, about this career path that really gets you up in the morning?
What really gets me up in the morning, fill me with passion and excitement, is my students. I think the students' lives are so rich. The challenges, the stories, the narrative that they have in their life is so inspiring. I have students who comes from broken families where they are experiencing so much at home. She hasn't seen her parents for a very long time. One of my particular student father was in jail, or mother has been away, and she has not seen her parents for the longest time, and the grandparents actually take care of her. And she was extremely negative. She was extremely gossipy. And I walked in as a teacher thinking my 2 years of Teach for Malaysia can change her life. Of course, I just think how naive I was. I think 2 years, if we expect 2 years can change a person's life, then I think I made a very wrong assumption then. But education, it takes more than just that 4 walls of classroom teaching for 40 minutes a week or 2 times a week. It requires a teacher to walk into the student's life and to think from the student's perspective and to learn from that. I think as a teacher, encountering different students and seeing how difficult or how challenging their life, and for me as a person to be able to make a difference. So that 2 years wasn't enough. So I continued beyond that 2 years of journey, and the student transformed into bright, confident student. And this particular student that I mentioned actually joined in a lot of leadership projects in school, where she also championed projects on stopping the use of plastic bag within schools.
Wow.
Yeah, researching and collecting interviews from the community members and spreading the awareness that using plastic is not good for the environment. And I think for a student and a group of students to be able to do that in the community, which they still do after I have left the school, is really empowering. Imagine what else can we do if we put in that amount of effort and that mindset into our education to empower our students to be student leaders on their own. So for me, that keeps me awake in the morning, that keeps me running in terms of our project and what we want to do in different schools.
Do you think it's important, because what you mentioned earlier is that you really got to know your students on a personal level, understanding why their learning experience is this way, why their character is a certain way. Do you think it's important for a teacher to get to know their students personally beyond the classroom? And for students as well, for your students in Parit Buntar, Lubok Buntar, did they ever come to you for advice beyond the premise of schoolwork and school activities?
Yeah, I think connecting back to the MCO period right now, it's even more important than ever for parents and the community to just be a part of the students' learning process. I think, yes, we need to, as a teacher, I believe it's so important to understand where students are coming from. I also understand during this period of time, it may be easier for us as teachers to just give homework, and also I think it's important for teachers to understand whether the students have enough resources to tap into the internet. Students have enough data at home. Are they suffering from other influences at home that stop them from submitting homework, that stop them from learning? So my answer to your first question is definitely yes. It's important to understand the students, the personal circumstances. So, and then I think that itself helps the teacher to create that personal relationship with the students. And I still keep in touch with a lot of my students after their secondary school. Some of them ask me about their career advice, where they should be going, which school should they be studying, if there are problems in their personal relationships sometimes. Wow. Yeah, sometimes, not all the time, some students do ask for some advice, which I'm honored. So I treat them as a friend, because past that secondary school age, I think school time, I'm no longer, I was a teacher for them, but more like a person a brother. I'm not old enough to be a daddy yet, but some of them, I think because lack of a father figure, a positive father figure in their family, so they treat me like their father or brother. So it's important to have that relationship, and I'm very honored to be playing that part, and that also keeps me. Teaching is a very, very important and honored work, and I'm very blessed to be a part of it.
You know, during this MCO period and quarantine period in other countries as well, you see on social media, everyone is just saying, parents especially, they're all saying that I don't know how teachers do this. Teachers should actually be paid far more than certain professions, because for them to be stuck with their children at home and teaching them, they are also going crazy, some are clueless. So yeah, this is a good way to shed light on the good work that teachers and educators are doing.
I think parents are doing so well in keeping the kids at home, so they're experiencing frustrations. It's normal. I think in teachers also, we are not perfect. We also experience frustration. So it's important for parents to understand also teachers in the school are experiencing and facing so much pressure, deadlines, and need to interact with like so many students within one class and take care of each of them. Well, it's a lot of responsibility. So thank you, teachers and parents during this time to manage that expectations and to be a part of their learning. I have this conversation with the parents about they were very, very anxious why their children are not talking in the virtual space. They're not responding so well. Are they having difficulty? Am I doing wrong as a parent? I say no. Children have multiple intelligences. Children have different way of learning. Some are audio, some are kinesthetic, some are visual learner. So having that discussion with parents are so nice to see, because sometimes it's just what teachers know. Teacher knows there's a certain way to approach teaching and learning. But now I'm having that conversation with parents. So parents, my children are actually visual learner, so I will encourage her to draw more while we're learning text about Disney stories, for example. Yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing that you are also having conversations with parents, and maybe this period will also shed light to parents about their child's different gifts and different learning traits. We have some people watching, and someone called Nurul Iman Nadira, she says Soon is wearing his favorite color. So say hi. Thank you guys for watching.
You know, my favorite color is blue.
Yeah, blue everywhere. You're wearing blue shirt, and yeah, we're matching today.
Yes, yeah.
Soon, you mentioned before, you spoke about how you want your students to understand that achievements go beyond academics and that there must be focus on values and mindsets. Walk us through that.
Definitely. Values and mindsets. For me, academic achievement, it's very stressed upon in school. You know, how many A's do you get? Do you do well in your mathematics exam? How's your physics going? Why are you getting so low marks?
That was the environment that we were brought up in, right?
Yeah, same. But the world is changing. You know, the needs, the job skills that we need in the next 20 years are changing. So I believe it's important to focus on values and mindsets as well as exposure and opportunities for our students. An opportunity are not given by others. Sometimes are given by other people. Sometimes we have to create the opportunities within our own environment. So when I talk about values and mindset, it refers to what kind of mindset students have when they deal with problems. So when we talk about what problems do you see in your own community, it immediately makes students think about the real threat, the real issues, what people are saying, what kind of bullying that is happening, what kind of my students talk about broken toilet in the school. My students talk about students not respecting each other. They bully each other, the language that they use. So in values and mindset, we actually train and we have a certain rubric to assess where students are thinking, whether they are running away, that's not my problem, somebody else will take care of it. And I think that's also related to our society. A lot of people are complaining, but not doing a lot of actions to make it better. For me, education is about improving lives. It's about making students' life better. What's better than getting students to improve their life conditions based on the problems that they face? So values and mindset actually help students to think about growing, think about taking actions, think about what values they are using, courage, compassion, wisdom, in order to go out to really solve the problems, for example, or present an ideal solution if they don't have enough budget to make it a real solution. So for me, values and mindset are so important, and we can grow that. We can definitely grow that same as academic achievement if we do place enough resources, if we do place enough training for our students to thrive in that environment. Equal, same as opportunities and exposure. We equally have to provide opportunity within school, in our learning spaces, or wherever we are, work collectively to provide that opportunity for students to succeed in their learning.
And I think that proactive approach as well would really help them both in their personal and professional growth when they enter the work world, because you know, you need to be proactive as an individual and not, like you said, just complain and not do anything about it. You have to also have and recommend some solutions, right?
Yeah. If we continue, for me, but personal take, if we continue to train the students just purely on academic achievement, yes, it's important. It's not saying that it's not important. That's how we continue to thrive in our time. But the world is changing. The job requirements are molding as we go. Technology requires conflict resolution. It requires people to have complex problem-solving skills. How do we measure that? How do we grow that? It needs to have that place within our education system. And me as a teacher, I believe I want to, and I'm playing that role in the work that I'm doing.
And I think what you are saying, correct me if I'm wrong, what then do you think is an important aspect to build that balanced individual, like you mentioned? So not somebody who is striving fantastically in academics alone, but also someone who does well in academics. You are also someone who has good value system, good belief system. How do you create that balanced individual? Because I think all of us are striving towards that balance We are all still in that process. But how do we get there? And for young talent, young students, how do they get there?
For me, I think there are different levels of intervention and enrichment programs that can be done to achieve that, to balance the academic as well as the values and mindsets, the exposure and opportunities. We can intervene in different aspects through curriculum training, through curriculum development. It can be through a school approach, what schools are doing to increase that balance aspect. And yeah, the short answer is I don't have the short answer. The short answer is definitely intervention from different fields. But my advice to young adults is really try different things. To really go and try things that you think will interest you, and it's okay to fail. Wrong, it's okay. I always say to my students, fail, fail, fail better, and arise every single time you fail. The most important thing is not in the success, but it's in the act of rising up from your failures. I think that itself is valuable. If we get enough young adults to be able to think about that and to be willing to do that, we don't know what these individuals are interested in. I'm interested in this kind of field, but my student might not be interested in that kind of field. And different teachers have different interests. Or different parents have different interests who think, children, you need to go this way so that it will bring you great fortune, it will bring you certain. Actually allowing students to experience it on their own, to explore it on their own, and eventually they will have stronger resilient skills in order to face the future that is constantly changing. So yes, let our students fail and try, and to support them along the way so they still can continue to rise every single time when they fall down. I think that is the thing that we can do.
On that note where you mentioned, that teachers have certain wants, students have certain interests, parents have, different ideas about career paths. And that's something that we shared with you. That was why we came up with this show, to showcase different individuals on different career paths. For you, and we'll segue a little bit, for you, when you decided to be a teacher, and it's so different from what you studied in Australia, how was the conversation like with your parents when you told them that you're going to stay away from the path that you kind of set yourself on from Australia? How was the conversation like with your parents? Wasn't it an easy decision to make for yourself as well as for your parents?
I think that's definitely a very difficult conversation. It takes years. It takes years to do that. And I was involved in performing arts full time when I came back from Australia. So my parents were like, no, that's not something you should venture in. In Malaysia, it's not stable. So I think it takes dedication, a lot of grit, a lot of persistence, and also creating results along the way. So if you are serious about taking that journey, go ahead and really create results that you yourself can be proud of, and you are making changes that they can see. The changes are visible enough for them to see. Oh, for my dad, it's something that, he is also doing something positive to the community. My name started to appear in newspaper. There are funders who are willing to fund the project. Won some awards. For me, I'm doing what's true to my own self, what I'm really, really passionate in doing, but also having that impact, having that visible change. But for my parents, and it's saying, okay, I think, maybe I might be wrong, but I should be able to support him no matter where he chooses to go. And I think one of the conversation I had with my dad a few years ago was, I was at a very low point in my life, and I asked my dad, are you happy if I'm doing such way? If I'm a teacher, will you be happy? And then he said something very profound. He said, Soon, are you happy? And I said, no, I'm asking you whether you are happy or not. And then he said, no, if you are happy, then I'm happy. Which it kind of just changed the whole. So if I continue to pursue what happiness looks like for me, what fulfillment look like for me in a very conscious way, I think eventually I will get his approval. But I know a lot of people are facing a lot of struggles along the way, but that's my journey. And it's important to do what's true to you because everyone's true North Star is different.
So are your parents okay now about the path that you have chosen, or are they still wishing that you would be an accountant?
No,
They're okay now.
absolutely okay now. They're okay
Yeah,
now.
right, you got
Very
this.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good to hear. When you were growing up, part of your decision in becoming a teacher and an educator, did you draw on the inspiration from any teacher at any point in your life that you wish to emulate?
Yes, I have a teacher which I've met many inspiring teachers along the way. One of the teacher I met is Lynn. Her name is Teacher Lynn. And then she has that power of giving so much inspiration to whoever is listening to her.
Some
And I
people
think
have that gift, you know. Yeah.
yeah, it has the potential to just, fill people with spirit and energy and to believe anything is possible. And that helped me to break myself from a very shy and negative and judgmental person to someone who is willing to fail and to learn from the failure. So she has inspired me in different ways, and I wish to see her in person. She's all the way in Brisbane, doing her own work. She's teaching university students now.
She was your university lecturer?
No, she's my teacher in speech and drama.
Oh yeah, you went to ANU in Canberra, right? Okay, yes.
Yes.
Nice. So shout out to Teacher Lynn.
Shout out to Teacher Lynn.
What is that one myth of being a teacher or an educator in any form that is worth debunking? Some young adults that I've spoken to in the past, they have mentioned before that while teaching is a sound career path and something that they look forward to, something that they can grow within to do something for the community. But what also attracts them is they think that it's number one, a fairly easy job, and number two, it's a job that gives you a fair bit of holiday. So, can we hear from you? What is that one myth that you wish to debunk? Because after working on the project for McDonald's Anugerah Guru Inspirasi 2019, it really opened my eyes to how teaching is a thankless job. It's not an easy job at all.
I think
so many.
Yeah, so many things, holidays, salaries, they're not doing a lot. I would love to just focus on one thing, that the teachers are not doing a lot in schools. So, but based on what we have discussed today, teachers have not just managing 40 students or 30 students in one classroom and one particular subject. We also manage a sports day. We also manage canteen day. There's also different projects. For me, myself, I have to get extra funding in order to support the projects that I'm doing in schools. And I have to share with you, my teacher friend in Sarawak is printing a lot of resources during this MCO time and distributing resources to students' home in different areas.
You mean he's going house to house?
House to distribute teaching and learning resources, Cikgu Najmi. And also, there's so many things that a teacher is doing beyond just teaching in the classroom. We have to attend to students' personal, emotional, physical, sometimes safety reasons. There's so many things that teacher has to do in the school during school hours. So teachers are not just teaching per se. Teachers are not just teaching in the school. And for a teacher who wants to go the extra mile and to fulfill that promise that all students can achieve excellent education no matter their background, if you have that mission and if you are signing up for education philosophy so that we can reach to every single student, this job, it's never ending. It will never stop. So it's important to also for teachers to take care of our personal health. So we also have a lot of attacks from the parents. You're just doing this because, you should do more. Why are you just doing this? And I think for that, it's worth sharing that teachers are not just teaching. So it's important for teachers to take care of themselves, but also turning up positively every single day, no matter how harsh it is, because students deserve a champion that fight for them in the class every single day. So it's worth debunking that teachers are not just teaching in the classroom. They manage other things too.
That people don't necessarily see on a daily basis, right?
Yes. And during school holiday times, there are a lot of marking involved. There are a lot of preparation for the next semester's work involved. There are a lot of reporting involved. For me, I'm just writing non-stop proposals to help my students.
How do you find that balance then between taking care of your students academically, emotionally, now speaking to parents as well, because of the MCO period, and parents are very much involved in their children's learning process. But also, like you mentioned, it is important to take care of your own, of teachers' own personal and mental health. How do you find that balance and find that healthy detachment, if I can put it that way, find that healthy detachment for you to turn up your best every single day for your students?
I think there are different strategies where teachers can use. Let's talk about two things. One is support from external network. You need people who believe in you, people who can support you during your difficult times, that external influence. Do you have a mentor that you can rely on? Or whatever you're doing is just receiving negative feedback. You are doing too much. This is not good for the students. Or students can be your support network. For me, students are my biggest support network, as well as a few close teacher friends who believe in the work that I'm doing. That's for external. I think it's important for teachers to find that. If not, it's damaging. Secondly, it's internally. How we as teacher or people who have who type A, who wants to do a lot.
Type A personality, yeah.
A personality, who wants to do so much, but also expecting so much from ourselves that it kind of sometimes will be unhealthy attachment. So what I do is really focusing on what kind of reward system I want to give myself. If I successfully do this, what kind of thing that I deserve to go for a treat, or I do yoga session, I do meditate to calm myself, to healthily detach from other things that is unnecessary. Every night before I sleep, I hard to get to sleep without thinking about the work. So I do this. One of the teachers teach me before. All the worries will still be there. All the negative things will still be there, even if you think about it or you don't think about it. Just put it inside here, and then in 3 counts, we're going to blow, and then it just go out into the universe. And tomorrow when you wake up, it's important, it will come back, you will manage. And then I just do this. Let's do it together. Put all the worries and negative energy in your hand, and then you're going to blow it away so that it will get released into the universe. Okay?
Okay.
1, and then blow it here. 1, 2, 3. And it will find your way, and relax. And you just have to relax and enjoy yourself at this moment. Be present this moment. The important thing will come back tomorrow.
Does it help you?
It helps me so much. It's a belief system.
Yeah, and I think that's important, because if you're going to show up and bring your best to the table every single day, you need to take care of yourself. So that's the strategy that you employ for yourself and for fellow teachers and educators. If you want a strategy to let go a little bit, try that strategy. For students and for the benefit of parents who are now very much involved in their children's learning process soon, we are going through an unprecedented time. One of the big changes for kids is that they are now learning in an environment that is unfamiliar to them. They are learning through screens, talking through different platforms like Zoom or Skype or Google Classroom perhaps. So any tips on how kids can still receive optimal learning experience in a setting that they have for a very long time been associated with learning? Classroom in and of itself is associated to learning, but right now waking up, they're just walking and rocking up to their table and their computer, and that's their learning universe right now. What are the tips that you can offer to make sure that kids still have the optimal learning experience?
That's a very good question. I think number one is to set up the learning space for the children. Make sure they have enough. I always tell the parents, I will make sure you have enough water, enough stationery. So it creates a conducive classroom within the space that they are learning, and make sure the internet is stable and do regular check-in with the students. And that's number one, to set up a conducive learning space. Number two, I think sometimes we kind of forget learning also happens at home. Learning also happens with the parents when they're interacting. That's, when we're teaching students how to speak well, how to behave well, I see parents now more than ever involve their children in cooking, in doing house chores. And yes. I have a teacher friend who create timetable about house chores together with the children, and to create that learning timetable together. And that's number two. It's important to involve them into everyday aspects.
So that collaborative effort.
Yes, learning together. And number three, I think although some of the materials that we learn in the class can be quite challenging, but I have parents who sit next to the children and this is what you learn in the classroom with the teacher. So they get to interact and debrief about the learning after the class. So it also creates that another level of learning together with the parents. Maybe sometimes parents are way too busy to just put the children in front of the screen. I understand, but having that discussion about what you're learning in the class today, can you share with me what is teacher Soon teaching, what is teacher Linda teaching in the class, and having that regular check-in with the students is absolutely crucial to also create that conversation.
So now kids have their parents and also teachers to be part of that learning ecosystem.
Absolutely. Before this, we have a school compound teacher, are like people they see every day. But now it's within that home that the students are interacting. So parents are becoming like their children's full-time teacher. So I salute all the parents at home taking care of their children at this time. But also, as you can already see, if not understand already, teaching is require training. It requires understanding students' personality, motivation, how they learn, how to deal with them, what language to speak with them. Even though we want to just scold the students, but we have to control and to learn what is the best way for that particular student. So,
we have a few people tuning in now. You've got some comments soon. Norsia Ibrahim, good to hear from you, she says. And Sanjeev Vijaya say, all the best soon.
Right.
Hello guys, thank you.
Thank you for those who are tuning in, I appreciate it. If you have any feedback or suggestions or want to know more, I think you can contact me also. Beautiful people.
Hi guys. You recently made a transition soon from being a school teacher, you were at Lubok Buntar in Kedah, and now you run your own education center called Leadspire Academy. Tell us what made you want to make this transition, what triggered that, and is it different from being a school teacher and now running your own academy?
It's quite different, but a lot of aspects also quite similar. The decision to move away from being a school government teacher to run my own education center, it's because I want to use what I find successful and useful and effective into a space of learning where I can reach out to more students in different schools. So not just a particular group of students are benefiting from one school, but I can train teachers, I can run programs to train teachers to go to different schools to execute this speech and drama program, student leadership program, teacher training workshops. So at the same time, I'm creating different ripples of change within different communities. So my role as an educator and teacher, I do run my regular classes in the center and also talking to and teaching students virtually now with the students in my center. But a lot of our programs in school are also creating that intensive performing arts training, creating that students leadership training so that it creates different impact. And that require me to wear the hat of a programmer, of a manager, of a designer, of a coordinator. So that part is also extremely challenging, but I find so much joy and passion and meaning into doing this work.
And now you are based in Parit Buntar.
Yes, Leadspire Academy is based in Parit Buntar, Perak. We also have contact and train students in Penang, Perak, and Kedah because we are very close to the border. So we do send our teachers to these 3 different states to work with students and teachers.
How long have you been running Leadspire Academy?
It's just 1 year, and then it's just 1 year. And I'm very proud of it with a group of passionate teachers working with me.
Nice. And for this academy, do you say that you are also working with several schools now with the teachers as well as the students? So this is not an academy that reaches out to just the students, but you are also reaching out to teachers so that they can take the program learning and have that ripple effect onto the students.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. I think that just made the shift because I see the potential of reaching more teachers, more students, so they themselves can share with more teachers and students.
How has the response been from students and teachers alike since the conception of Leadspire Academy?
I think one of our most successful project is leadership training.
Nice.
We're partnering with schools, and the schools actually request us to go to the school and train the students' prefects and train the students' leaders in the COCO units, co-curriculum units like police, cadet, KRS. So we actually work with the students so they can identify problems in their community so they themselves will take on board the solutions. And then I think very, very well received because we see an emerging trend. Teachers and leaders also understand it's important that we develop students based on values and mindset, opportunities and exposure, not just academic achievement. So we receive quite a lot of requests from principals and teachers from different regions. But unfortunately, due to the MCO, we have to pause everything and also develop new strategies. And then moving forward, one of the great danger or potential to improve an opportunity is how can we focus on students' holistic development if we are only doing things virtually. It's very hard. Academic achievement, yes, let's just improve them based on a lot of learning sessions, but to problem solve, to work collaboratively, to come up with a complex problem solving skills, how can we continue to bring on champions from different fields although economy is facing a lot of problems, but we
Yes.
students are still our greatest asset. Students still need to be built in that aspect. So yeah.
Wow. What would your advice be to young people who want to pursue a career in education? Um, for someone like you who didn't come from an education background, you decided early on that you wanted to embark on a career in accounting, and then you switch career, you switch that decision halfway. What would your advice be? Do you think it's important for young people to have that ambition to want to embark on this career path from the onset, or otherwise, or do you think that they should have different backgrounds?
I think there's no definite answer for this. For me, it's like explore, keep on exploring, and see whether that's something that you want to do. Fail better. We
Feel
talked
feel
about
feel
this
feel better.
earlier. And then for those who have interest in education, I suggest just go back to your secondary school, help out the teachers, and to see whether you want to run programs to benefit the students, and if with the school permission, that's for sure. If that's something that you really want to do, for me, the requirement actually for to enter to be a teacher, to be trained as a teacher, the requirement increased. It becomes so much harder now, which is understandable. Teaching is a professional job. It requires professional training. If you are entering teaching because you think, I cannot do anything else, I would just enter teaching. Teaching has the safety payment paycheck for you every single month. You're in for the holiday. I suggest not, because you are actually, I don't want to sound too wishy-washy, but you're jeopardizing a lot of students' future. It is the future of 40 students that in your hands. And you are, so if you're not serious about it, let's just don't make this your first choice. And if you want to venture into education, try teaching, try conducting some programs, if that's something that you're interested. And for those who really want to consider maybe to take the leadership choice to leap into education and to contribute to Malaysian education landscape, consider to apply to Teach for Malaysia. Teach for Malaysia is an amazing leadership development platform for teacher leader. Just jump on the website Teach for Malaysia and look out what they offer.
I would like to end this conversation soon with something that you said, and that resonated with me. You mentioned this in your TEDx talk that I watched, and you said those who are the hardest to love need love the most. Those who are the hardest to love need love the most. I find that very, very powerful. Can you talk us through a little bit about what experience that you draw on when you came up with this, and what was running through your mind?
That comes from a very personal case that I have experienced while I was teaching in a rural school in Kedah. So I found two students fighting in the class. So one of the students were like bashing the other students. So I pushed the other.
Fist fight.
Yeah, fist fight. So I pushed the other students away, and I was talking and counseling the other student who initiated the fight. And I said, it's not the true name, Mr. Lukman. Can I help you? I want to help you the best that I can. What can I offer to you? In a very calm, a very relaxed way, thinking that I can help this particular student. And this student almost want to start to fight back with me and want to punch me and say, not even my mom care about me. Who the H you think you are to come into my life, and you want to care for me? So I just step back. I just say, I'm not in for this. My teaching, I'm here to teach, I'm here to guide you. You don't want to be guided, it's fine. Then I was reflecting and thinking a lot. This student experienced violence. Actually, I was researching and thinking and researching into the family background. There are so much violence involved, and who am I to think I can change? He doesn't respond well to loving care. You know, the kind of method that the well-off family or better family would say, "What can I help you, my child? I love you. I will put my best for you." No, they don't have this in their normal life. So for me to reflect on that experience, I shouldn't stop loving them because of their ego robot is operating. That's how they operate. Do I stop love them because they want to punch me? They want to respond negatively in violence to me? No. In fact, these are the people who need the love the most. They are hardest to love, but they need the love the most. So that really changed me as an educator to look at my students differently. And after that, I become more loving, even more loving to my students. Whether they love it or not, I'll be even more patient and caring and loving for all my students.
That was the turning point, eh?
That was a very big turning point.
And what happened to I know it's not his real name, Lukman, but what happened to Lukman after that? How was your relationship with Lukman? How was his relationship with other students? Where is he now?
So he stopped schooling. School is school in a regular government school in learning academically. It's not his strength.
Okay.
He moved on to learn something about repairing cars, mechanical jobs.
Vocational learning.
Yeah. He was in love in that kind of job, and then I think after that fight, me and him developed a special brother relationship. He knows that I'm there if he ever needs me. So we do have video call from time to time. He was still just randomly, "Hey, Soon, how you doing?" And with a group of friends. I think he's in a car repair shop at the moment, workshop.
That's great. I hope he knows that, it's very interesting because that particular situation was the turning point to how you basically enhanced your outlook and your perception towards different students. And that's amazing because what resonated with me when you said that was that, wow, nothing is above your paycheck. Teachers it's really a thankless job. So thank you, Sir Soon, and thank you for being on this show, and thank you for all the work that you've been doing, all the amazing work that you do for your students, for future Malaysians, and for the great work that you're doing right now via Leadspire Academy.
Thank you for inviting me. It's been such a pleasure to share about my work with the people, the public, and I hope you understand that teaching, it's a very demanding job, and let's all appreciate the wonderful teachers.
How can our audience reach out to you to find out more about you, your social media handles perhaps, and also where can they find more information about Leadspire Academy?
Absolutely. It's very simple. Just follow us on Facebook and Instagram. We are on Leadspire Academy, Leadspire Academy. Lead and inspire, but becomes Leadspire. Follow us on Instagram as well as Facebook. We have a lot of updates there that you can see.
And where can people find you as well soon?
Sir Soon, I have a Facebook page called Sir Soon.
And you're also on Instagram, right?
Yes, my Instagram also, Soonufat.
All right. So thank you, Soon. Thank you for joining us this beautiful Sunday morning. We really appreciate it. And folks, as Sir Soon said, fail, 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 feel better, right? Feel
Yeah.
better. And if you haven't called or texted any of your teachers, do give them a call, do give them a text, and wish them a very happy Teachers Day. It has been another great episode. Thank you so much. This has been such a fun chat. This is another episode of Why People Do What They Do. We are on Facebook as we are streaming live right now. We are also on Spotify and also YouTube. And if you want to find out more about our content, we are on www.WPDWTD.com. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. And stay safe. So soon, stay safe, stay healthy. And I would catch up with you again. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Bye, guys.